Yes,
Okay.
guys, we just had a technical glitch, and our technical people have sorted it out. So we'll just continue from where we were. I think you were talking about how how it plays out, the issue of how you taught your children, how they learned from you and your wife. Can you just take us back to that part, that last part?
Okay. Just before we got cut, then I was at the point where I indicated that, sometimes when after dinner, I would stand up with my plate to take my wife's plate and take it to the kitchen, and the kids as well, kids' dishes as well, if they are done. So I wouldn't just sit down and say, I'm a father. Now someone must come and pick up my plate and then that myself. And this unaware, this became an example to my daughters that, inside the house, whoever is around, if we are having a dinner together, whoever finishes first will actually collect all the plates and then take them to the kitchen. And basically that's it. And the way this thing played out is that, when I do this, and I would do it, take them to the kitchen. Sometimes I do even wash them in presence of my wife. Yeah, and to date, I've never had any of them saying, Papa, why are you washing the dishes? Or saying, Papa, you are less Papa because you are washing the dishes. That kind of a thing is something that doesn't exist in this family. Wow. So I guess this is how men in particular need to present themselves before their families. You shouldn't be the Goliath of your family, and everything rotates around you. You give orders and you don't take orders. And this kind of setup that I'm actually living actually created a platform where everyone we are free to do anything. No one will tell, except lately, because kids sometimes do get lazy and those kind of things. But we never had a situation where you have to, or someone need to be told, go wash the dishes. It will be a random thing that is happening. If my wife feels like washing them, she will wash them. If I feel like washing them, I'll wash them. And basically that's it.
Now let us go into a more critical issue concerning, because this is an inspirational. Now we have a crisis of parenting. I think there's a liberal approach in it, and where we have women teens that they just want to raise their kids on their own. And on the other hand, we have more of course, the more traditional one of men neglecting their responsibility of the life of the what are your observation of the crisis of parenting?
Okay, let's start first with the single. At the beginning of this conversation, we actually touched on that, made an example about myself, about the disconnect between myself and the father. And if we deliberately, if the woman deliberately do that during this time, I would say the negative effect of that is that you bring up guys or boys, for example, especially the boys, because those are the naughty ones. Yeah. You bring up boys who cannot be called to order, and in turn, those guys end up actually having a freedom of doing as they please or as they wish. And when they get out there in society, no one can tell them anything. They will do anything at any time they want, and no one will say anything to them. But with the presence of the male figure, that freedom will be cut short in my opinion, because if you are a boy child, for example, you go out, you do ABC, and you know that what you've done out there is not right. When you come back home, the first person you think of is, what is my father going to, going to do? Not say, what is my father going to do? And in our generation, it used to be a serious hiding. But with today's generation, it's we've actually gone out or gone out of our way to embrace the white lifestyle, where we ground kids. I don't know where that grounding comes from, where a child is taken from one room to the other, and then he or she is told, you stay here until so many hours, and that's it.
Yeah.
And actually, oh, sorry.
Yeah, you can continue. You can continue.
Okay, and okay, I don't understand the benefit in society of doing that, because you ground a person. I don't believe in grounding. I believe in taking my children, talk to them when they've done something wrong. No one has ever been grounded in my family. If you do wrong, we address it there and there, and that's it. But now, yes, sir?
So we can say that the single parenting, in a way, it comes with the negligence of discipline, does not enforce discipline where it's necessary on children.
Exactly. Exactly. Like I told you, imagine a single mother with 2 sons, or say 3 sons, for example. And those sons to the mother are princes, basically. And no one will touch those. Okay, the maternal instinct is that I need to protect this 3 with my life, which is nature. I understand that. But, with that protection, you take away discipline. Because a boy child having that kind of relationship with the mother, which is so sweet that whatever you do, you will be, punishment is excused. Now you grow up as a boy child who actually get to adolescent and even adulthood. And when you face problems, when that boy, for example, when that boy child meets another girl child as a grown up, that person was never taught how to tackle personal issues at a young age. And now he has to tackle personal issues at the graduate level, which becomes a problem because there's no time to study at that level. It is time to execute things. So that creates a big problem.
Yeah. So now with this one, I think it's more of a preventive measure for women in our generation not to run with the notion that they can actually parent their children on their own. But the father has passed on, and now because we all just in how do we kind of cure and not play out in terms of whether the father died before the child got to see him and get to see him involved, or whether he did it after. How do we treat a situation like that?
Okay. In recent times, things have changed, but in the past, I remember in our times, we were brought up by a village, not mother and father as such, but you would see a father next door being your father as well, which is something that is no longer applicable in today's society. So, I would say such kind of situation is something that we do not have control over. In a sense that when one passes, there's nothing you can do, but you'll have to go with the flow. Unfortunately, some families get it right, some families get it wrong. Some kids actually go out of the way because the father has passed, and then there's no one who's actually disciplining or putting the child on the right track inside the family.
Okay, let me hold you on that one, because it would be the last question that I want to ask in terms of how do we heal then or rather restore the family life in the Black society. But just before we go to that last question, rather, can we just come into this one? If we can look at South Africa right now, South Africa does not have really explicit family policies. You see the provision of child social grants that they've tried to use in addressing the livelihood of the challenges that are faced by vulnerable family members, especially child grants. How has that affected the family life? We see young people having kids out of wedlock. We see really Black people opting for SASSA lines. A young girl, instead of going to school, she's in the SASSA lines with grannies to opt for the money. How has that affected the whole notion of our Black family society, of our family life as Black people?
Okay, this I think I've come across this question a number of times, and my answer has always been, you know, the Black society is killed by its own. When I say that is that, you know, during apartheid, we didn't have the grant. Okay, but we are here today. There were no grants during apartheid. And I think the whites didn't care whether there's a grant or no grant, but that there are successful families that emerged out of that time or that era. And now with today's, I would say government, although I'm not a politician, but I would say politicians are to blame for this. And the reason for me to say that is, you know, when you create something that is not well planned, for example, you give a grant. Why not give bursaries instead of grants?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Now, what the grants are doing to society is that they are encouraging the birth of kids without two parents in place, because you get the lady and the guy making the child even before marriage, and now they apply for grant and they get grant because they are both not working. But now, if you look at that, you get a child, and the grant money, unfortunately, the grant money is not enough and will never be enough to raise a child in today's lifestyle, I would say. Because, I mean, schooling itself, I mean, you go to government schools, the transportation you need is actually about 75% of the grant.
Yeah.
Unless if you stay very close to school, which is not the case for everyone. And now the issue of grants is actually, it is destroying the Black nation, I would say, in a sense that we are creating a sense of dependency on something that is not enough to take us through. And we making people to believe that they can actually make a living out of that. And that's a big problem, because there are kids that are born and they grow older dependent on the grant. And the government is actually not there's no backup plan on the grant issue, whereby you would say, let me take you to one of the African countries I admire, Libya. Libya. Yeah. Muammar Gaddafi used to have something, I would say it was not a grant, but Muammar Gaddafi used to have, during his time, he's gone. And I understand that thing is no longer there in Libya. What used to happen is that the graduates would get a government subsidy of some sort
Mm.
to start their lifestyle. I'm talking about graduates, not two people who are not married, who had just made a kid, and then that kid is dependent on 350 or so. So our government is actually, they are looking at the long term about the survival of their parties, not the survival of the Black nation.
True.
In a sense that you encourage the youth to make kids, and those kids are going to vote for you. You hope those kids are going to vote for you. And then you promise people the grants, and then you promise people this and that. And the long-term effect of that is that if you look at the statistics, you can check how many kids are born in a year in South Africa who are dependent on grants.
Mm-hmm.
And you think 10 years down the line about the future of those kids. Will they still be surviving on grant? Will their parents still be surviving on grants? Instead of actually focusing on grants, I would say, if anyone in government is listening, I would say focus more on giving or on teaching our youth how to fish than giving them fish.
All right.
That's my point.
The student activist in me says NFSAS over SASA.
100%. I support that. 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now let us come to this because of time. I think we are running out of time now. How do we heal and restore the family life in Black society? How does this generation, our role do we play? What do we do in making sure that the family life in the Black society is restored to what will benefit the next generations in the future?
Mr. Ramkhayani, unfortunately, my answer is very short on that one, or will be very short. Okay. In terms of restoration, there's nothing we can do. And that's my opinion. But we can manage the situation.
Okay.
All right. And in managing the situation is actually trying to address the problems that we face ourselves in, or that are facing us, basically. So for the next generation that is actually planning to get married, or wishing to get married and so on.
Yes, you're talking to me now.
Yes, I'm talking to you. I would say from the boy child, be open-minded, and give your hand out to the lady child or girl child. And this masculinity thing, it's something of the past, I would say. We're living in a world where male and female are equal. And I don't know how many times we need to stress this, but it doesn't seem to get through to other people's minds that yes, you are a man. And naturally, you are built to be strong to survive. So that's
before we close. Last words. Just last words. Just give us last words. I mean, you've said a mouthful. Right now, I'm just gonna allow you just to have in the next 20 seconds or so. Just say one thing that we can all learn from and take it home after this.
Okay, as a society, let's discourage unfortunately it is there, but let's discourage the grant thing. Let's encourage our youth and our kids to go to school. Rather go, I mean, I went to school with a hungry stomach. and I'm here today. And some will tell you that you will not study with a hungry stomach, but it's if you are determined to do it, you will do it. So that's basically it.
Thank you so much, sir. This is Tawara Mayane, your host. This is Blacknificent Show. We've celebrated Black excellence, and we have just engaged on a critical issue. And I hope there at home we have taken what we have taken, and you're gonna run with it to make the Black family matter again. Thank you so much, Tate Moari. We've reached the end of our show. May you have a blessed night. Enjoy the rest of the week. Live a life that pleases God, that challenges man, and that shames the enemy. Have a great evening. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right.